Welcome, everyone, to the Doc and Jacques Live Radio Show. You have now entered the cosmic radio receptors of KCOW LP 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. Thank you for tuning into this week's fun and informative program. I'm Dr. Gigi, and my co-host is, as always, Jacques Kepner. How are you today, Jacques?
Greetings, Dr. Gigi. How are you? And hello to today's guest and the KCIW sound engineer, Tom Bozak. What's up? It's a semi-sunny, right? Coastal day, and we welcome the ever-growing family of listeners to this Doc and Jacques live radio show. Now could also be heard on, guess what? On
Where?
KFUG 101.1 FM.
KFUG.
Today was my final day, my retirement from KFUG. I've spent 2 years, 100 shows, and 250-plus guests in the past 2 years. And I said I got to retire at the top of my game, and I did. And it was a great final drum-rolling kind of good time with live music and lots of people showing up in the studio say their goodbyes. But I want to say thank you to Paul Kritz, the KFUG manager, all community radio stations, by the way,
right?
For allowing this show to be played instead of my old show, Jacques Talk, so everybody can listen to the show in Crescent City. So we're kind of syndicated now, and guess what?
All right, what?
KZZH, 96.7 FM, just received a letter from them 2 days ago saying they will carry the show. So
Excellent.
We are now formally syndicated on not one, two, but three community radio stations. All right.
Nice.
Our new email is docandjacques@gmail.com. So it's doc, A-N-D, and Jacques, J-A-C-Q-U-E-S, @gmail.com. And please email us and tell us about you, your friends, or somebody you know that's super talented, interesting person that might join us on this show. And big news.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What? Drumroll.
We just secured a domain name, and it is the Doc and Jacques, spelled the same way, .com. And we are currently building this informative website as we speak because we have to submit that URL to a person of interest in this room right now. Because he wants that number. He needs that URL. All right.
Okay.
Give us some, back to you, ping pong. Bink.
Huh? All right. Okay.
Am I shuffling?
So, what is
I'm shuffling papers. Here's the papers.
All right.
Live show. What is it?
What's the special day
Yeah, what is
today?
today's
You want to
special
know?
day?
Well, I'll tell you. It's Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Okay.
in case you didn't know, is the first day of Lent. Lent is the 40-day journey, but leading to Easter Sunday.
Cool.
And Lent actually ends on Saturday before Easter Sunday.
All right. Special Ash Wednesday.
Yeah,
to
and you
everyone.
want to know, what Ash Wednesday is for? It's a solemn
Yeah. Tell me.
reminder of human mortality and the need for reconciliation with God.
I used to know a friend that would take, on Ash Wednesday, he'd take a lit cigarette and put it on his forehead.
A lit cigarette.
Well, it was a way he got ashes off of it, but he was actually a good Christian. All right. What else?
Then.
What do ashes do?
You also did not want to know that it's also National Cheese Doodle Day.
Not another. Who makes these things up? National what?
Cheese Doodle. They're like cheese puffs.
Who makes these things up? I'll make up a better one. Today is officially Kiss Your Doctor Day. There we go. Why not? What the heck? Okay, my brilliant, highly educated, DNA patent-holding research scientist, professor, multilingual, German physician, and most lovely lady, Dr. Gudrun Gigi Reed, MD. What's on your medical menu today of this segment of MD Gigi?
Our MD 10 today will be about motion sickness.
Oh, I'm feeling kind of sick. We could have had this last week.
We could have.
Who was on the...
We had Danny Gardner of the Tidewind Sport Fishing on here.
Right here in Harbor. And
you wanted me to talk
Caitlin
about...
And Kyle and the whole crew down there that take people out.
Yeah, you wanted motion
waters.
sickness, except for we talked about water therapy.
Oh, yes, we talked about water therapy.
Which was
is
also cool, right?
But this week it's on motion sickness.
Motion sickness,
which includes what? Walking? Well, not so much. Shipping, planing, and driving.
Okay, my turn.
Okay, bye.
So motion sickness is the syndrome that occurs, listen, in response to real or perceived motion.
Real or perceived.
So
Okay.
not walking and diving, whatever. So in the absence of active, self-generated movements, such as you're walking, the brain estimates motion, which is, so the estimation center is mostly from the input from the inner ear, the vestibular area, eyes, and sensors in our joints. So they all go to the brain.
Sensors in our joints.
Yep,
We are
proprioceptors.
upright walking animals after all, right?
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
divine
So we
creatures.
have proprioceptors. So even we know where we have our hands and arms and legs with our eyes closed because our brain
And
knows.
those weird little muscles and things, bones in our ears help us keep equilibrium, right?
Yeah, no, it's the inner ear, but
And
the
what's
muscles,
that weird stuff I always bring up? The stuff inside your ear, the
the
earwax?
endolymph, the cerumen.
The cerumen, yuck.
Okay, has
Doc.
nothing to do with it. All
Okay.
right. So if those three sensors are in conflict with each other, then our brain says, "Bleh, I feel seasick." So
Wow.
that's when we get green in our face and we have nausea, headaches, warmth feeling, malaise, dizziness, increased salivation, and increased sweating, diaphoresis.
What is sweating? Diaphoresis is sweating?
Yeah.
Weird. I did not know that. Maybe my author friends here could use that in one of their books if they tell me what happens.
So what is the management? Now, the management is
What do you do?
prevent it from the beginning. So prevention is the big thing to not get seasick.
Okay.
Because once you have seasickness, there's really nothing you can do. You can just wait till the car ride or whatever is over. And
Back in the old days, in the 1990s, they used to say, just stick your head out the window and look at the horizon. That would help steady your figuring. But now they have all these medicines, right?
Right. Well, so you can do looking in the horizon, avoid reading when you're driving, etc. There's other things that you do, ginger candies and acupressure.
Ginger candies?
Yeah.
We have ginger candies.
Yeah, we do.
Those are tasty, yeah.
But the big thing is to prevent it. And so now we're coming to the two medications or two parts of the medications that is often used. One is scopolamine, and the other one is an antihistamine like Benadryl or so. So scopolamine, funny thing, is an anticholinergic, an anti-muscarinic thing. So you're saying the muscarinics, they are the nerves that help us with the parasympathetic,
Okay.
with the feeling relaxed.
Already given me too many words I don't understand, but that's okay.
But we've had them before.
That's a physician lingo. I know. I'm good at remembering all these things.
Okay,
for sure.
so why does this help, the scopolamine help? Because it actually inhibits the vestibular organ, the inner ear part,
Okay.
going to our vomiting center. That's what it's called, the vomiting center.
You're kidding me.
So-
That's the name of it?
Yeah, and so it inhibits that that thing, oh, well, you need to vomit now because the brain doesn't make any sense out of it. And so that's how scopolamine works.
Hey, gang, you want to hang out tonight? Let's go down to the vomiting center. It's like, are you kidding me? It's horrible. All right.
And the antihistamines do a similar thing because antihistamines such as Benadryl or Dramamine, they
Dramamine.
they can prevent
But
nausea.
how many of your patients come to you? They want to get the medicine. Don't you have to take it a few days in advance?
Right,
Have
you take
get
it
your
earlier,
blood?
12 hours or so earlier, the scopolamine patch behind your ear, and then you can leave it up there for 3 days or so.
And it's good.
It's good.
And it's not toxic, a whole bunch of
No,
problems.
however,
What?
it's not toxic, but it is an anticholinergic, meaning it has the same functions as anticholinergic medication. So,
Which
for
is?
example, we will have possibly blurry vision. So remember parasympathetic, the
Oh, yes.
relaxed stage.
Yes.
Relaxed stage. So now we're in the relaxed stage, meaning our eyes are all can't focus. And so if that happens when we want to focus, but we have the scopolamine patch on, we do feel
So
probably...
you can tell everybody, yeah, I never got car sick. Oh, look, I was blind for 3 days,
right?
but I was fine. I never saw Paris, by the
You
way.
have dry mouth because it prevents the sweating.
Oh, yeah, the dope. No, okay.
Yeah.
So don't take it on a major trip to some beautiful place like Paris, France or someplace, but
Right.
because you won't see anything.
But it's in the plane. They don't... show.
Okay. Right.
And the cool thing is that really anybody can become motion sickness if you just rattle their cage more than others. So some, have to look at a boat and they get seasick, and some you have to actually be on high sea, whatever
Okay.
that's called, high wave.
Maybe I'll just take antihistamines or something like that, right?
Yeah, Benadryl. Super easy.
Benadryl.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Now we know all about seasickness and air travel sickness and driving sickness. And I've never had it, never experienced. Danny was from Tidewind was saying that, people get sick, but they're so happy to be out there fishing that they just kind of get over it.
Yeah.
Keep them on it. All right. Well, very interesting. Thank you for telling that, Dr. Gigi. All right. Today's guests. Tony D'Urso first headlined the Doc and Jacques radio show nearly 6 months ago to this day. Did you know? It's been almost 6 months. There you go. Over the past 6 months, our friendship has kindled and sparked, and we've gotten to know Tony and his lovely wife, Sadie, who is also here in the studio. From the outside, Tony is a super sweet, amicable, and humble man until you see his resume. Then the fireworks begin. The man is a legendary podcaster whom millions of people follow and garner information each week from his own podcasting empire, The Tony D'Urso Show. Tony is a self-taught podcaster, and we're going to hear some of his backstory today. I love that word. That's my new favorite word, backstory.
Backstory.
He uses it in his podcast. I took it. Okay. And many millions of people follow and garner information each week from this Tony D'Urso show. I already said that today, but that's okay. Today, Tony is at the top of his game. People from all around the world seek him out to be on his weekly show. As popular as he is, Tony confides that he learns from every interview he conducts. Remember, I mentioned humble. On a one-to-one basis, few would ever know that he interviews top guns, elite entrepreneurs, famous folks, billionaires, and all sorts of maverick men and women who do the best they do. Each and every time that Dr. Gigi and I get together with Tony and Sadie, we learn exceptional things about them, and they're noble things we learn too. Lastly, I'd like to say that Tony has once again quietly pivoted into another arena of prosperity and popularity and excitement by entering the community radio family with KCIW 100.7 FM as his mothership, flagship, and his break into radio broadcasting venture with his own Tony D'Urso Show. All right, which coincidentally, guess what follows this show, folks? In another 45 minutes, guess what's going to be on? Leave your dial tuned into 107.7, 100.7, and immediately after the show ends, the Tony D'Urso Show begins right here on KCIW. Well, how cool is that? And how cool is it that I get to now introduce the man himself? Drum roll, please. Let's get this going. Dr. Gigi and I warmly welcome our friends Tony D'Urso and his wife Sadie to the Doc and Jacques radio show here on KCIW. Welcome.
Welcome.
All right.
Thank you, Doc and Jacques. It's an honor to be here again for the second time on the show. May there be many more. I absolutely love it. I love what you do. It's such a great show. It's so different from podcasting, which I hope to be able to kind of explain a little bit. Podcasting can be recorded. It's a different purpose. You know, you're interviewing for different things, and there's commercials and things like that. But the community radio is so different. There's no commercials, and it's more relaxed. You know, I'm even wearing a relaxed shirt. I'll never wear this shirt on a podcasting. On a podcast, but it's a different flavor, and I really, really like it. It's a humble grassroots, and I'm talking about community radio overall. Amen. So it's great to be here. Thank you guys for having me on.
KCIW loves it. You're on the air with them, and what an asset you are to the. All right, Doc, lead off with great questions.
Yes, Tony.
Kendall.
If we just met you, and I were to ask you, what do you do? What would you say? You have 30 seconds.
22 now.
Well, if I only had 22 seconds, I would say, well, what I do for a living now is because I'm Italian, partially because I'm Italian. I talk for a living. I podcast, and I'm having a blast at it. I've been doing this for about 10 years now.
10 years, and you could explain a little bit more. I mean, 10 years doing this, but you're self-taught podcaster.
I'm self-taught in a way. If you know my life story, I'm the kind of guy that goes out there and just gets things done.
Yeah.
And not a joke. When I was 19 years old, just to give you a case in point, I got into what I call the corporate world. And as part of that, I landed a job in a company. They had people, they would hire people back then to do whatever was called for instead of a specific job. If you look and you qualified, you were good. And the thing that they wanted me to do was type, and I had never even touched a typewriter before. And so what does Tony say? I'll do it. Sure. But it's not a joke or a con or a scam. I went to a library. I got a book. I'm actually serious. I got a book and I self-taught myself on the typewriter at the workplace. And fast forward a little bit, I became the entertainment of the whole company. I was that fast. I typed as fast as the computer, the typist. The machines, we had different machines. One was called a Siemens and one was called an Olivetti. There were different types of machines back then. Very fancy typewriter, electric typewriters. But basically it was the equivalent of 150 words a minute. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was...
You were that good.
I was that good. I was self-taught. So, But it just shows the I want to make this. I have to make this. This is my thing. Very when I went into podcasting, aside from the fact that I did the one thing, you should never do podcasting, ever, 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 ever. But I did it, which is I went live for an hour.
You went live?
Live for an hour on Blog Talk Radio. It's one thing you should never do. If you've never done it before, you don't want to go do that.
1 hour.
For 1 hour, here I am live, and I've never done it before.
Oh, geez. Yeah. How did that work?
It was okay.
Give opportunities to learn from?
I actually found a mentor who's in the marquee edition Who's Who of the West, I think the year 2000, a person by the name of Michael Benner. He's a radio celebrity in the Los Angeles area. Just about anybody and everybody knows him. He's that famous. And he agreed to mentor me. And not just
wow.
The mentoring is like he'd listen to a couple of shows, he'd call me up, and he'd give me some pointers, that sort of thing, and sometimes an email. But he navigated me for years, literally for years. He's retired now. He's been retired from radio, and he does. He teaches. How do I say what he teaches? He teaches how to be mindful. His book is called Emotional Intelligence. He taught the Orange County sheriffs and other law enforcement, CHP, and things like that. He's taught them how to be mindful and aware of what's going on.
That's all the
emotional intelligence is actually, I think we got that taught in medical school in social sciences. Yeah.
Well, he wrote the book.
Mindfulness is real popular these days. Everybody's talking about it.
It's so important to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Basically, be in control of yourself. And I didn't say anything really about the book, and I'm not trying to say anything incorrect, but it's just amazing. You should just definitely check it out. But he's that good that his little tweaks and adjustments over the years has helped me podcast well.
Oh, so you still are in touch with them
I'm still in touch with him. He's retired. He doesn't listen to my shows anymore. He's just retired. He's done with me.
Well, you've graduated. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right. So where were you born and raised?
I was born in what I used to call jokingly, I didn't know it was back then, this was before the Godfather movie came out. I always used to say I was born in one of the worst places of the world. And I would always, that was my Italian joke. I was born in Sicily.
Yeah.
Now, today, it's maybe a good moniker. It's like, hey, he's Sicilian. Oh, look out, he's great. But back then, it was like, you were the low class back then before the mafia became famous.
The mobster, right? And we associate with that.
No, I was in Sicily around 1985 or so, and we biked around the
how nice.
Sicily, all of it with a bicycle bike.
No mobsters.
No mobsters, but we were scared because the ferry went into Palermo, and we were scared that we would be taken by the mafia. Of course, nothing happened.
The ferry, when you take the ferry, which is a boat that takes people across the water, and you take that from the boot of Italy to Sicily, you go to a town called Messina.
Mm-hmm. Been to Messina.
And you don't want to arrive there late at night. You just don't.
Wow, not the greatest.
Messina is the type of town, I remember it so clearly, and it was late at night that we got there, and we didn't know where we were. And the way I describe it is there's two guys walking across the street at a diagonal, and they don't care who's driving behind them. And this is a big street, and they literally just were looking forward, and they didn't care what cars were behind them. Now, if you just think about that for a moment, they didn't care. That would just send shivers down my spine. The place doesn't have a good vibe.
All right.
Let me put
Messina. Kind of stay away from
Messina.
Messina.
But you have to go there when you fear. But I was born in a little town called Mezzogiuso, which in Sicilian means halfway up. So it was not at the top of the hill or at the bottom. It was in the middle of a hill. Maybe 1,000 people were there that lived there. I don't know how I got here, but I did.
You did.
Hey,
Sadie, have you ever been over to Italy?
Yes, we have.
Did you ever go to Messina?
Oh, yeah, we were in Messina.
Wow.
Were you scared? Were you scared seeing the diagonal
Nah.
people?
I mean, when you grow up in L.A., when you live in L.A., you're not afraid of much. But it was eerie,
Yeah.
and it was kind of, I don't know.
You could just tell that
You
there
could
was something
feel this
there.
vibe
That's
was
that's what I'm
not-
trying to portray.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's different now. This was 30 years
Yeah,
ago.
maybe The Godfather empowered them even more. It's like, hey, now we've got the Americans afraid of us. Wow.
Things
So-
change.
Things change, yeah.
So I lived there till I was 3. And then I came to Chicago, the United States, where I promptly took a 2-year vacation.
And just traveled around.
I took a 2-year.
Travel.
Then at the age of 5,
Okay, gotcha.
at the age of 5, I got into paper routing, delivering newspapers. Back then, you could do that, and it really didn't matter. It didn't matter your age particularly.
Yeah.
If you could move the big carts, which on the Sunday papers, which were like 3 inches thick, which I couldn't do until I was 8 years old. So if you can move those carts, then you've got the whole job. So
Chicago Tribune? What is that? What is
the
it?
Chicago Tribune,
Yeah.
the Chicago Sun-Times,
Sun-Times,
and
there we go.
another paper called The American.
Huh. How cool.
And I did that till I was about 14. So
Okay.
Now let's fast forward. What is your title and position currently?
Yeah.
I'm a podcaster. I'm the host of the Tony D'Urso Show. That's the Italian spelling, D'Urso, the Italian pronunciation, D'Urso, or, whatever. So I'm a podcast host, and I'm also an author.
Yeah.
And
And
probably a couple of other things.
yeah,
too.
now you're a
Shouldn't mention-
KCW broadcast, our colleague. Yeah.
I'm a community radio show host.
There we
Yeah.
go.
I'm a few things.
Yeah,
But the main thing, if I boiled it all down,
Yeah.
the thing that I like to be is not quite a teacher. I wouldn't say I'm a teacher, but I like to help others. That's why I podcast.
Boy, do we know that.
I want to help others. Face it, everyone here in the audience, everyone here in the studio, you can figure things out. But if you were able to learn from people in your industry that would help speed you up or fast track you, that'd be
Right.
great. But there's just one problem with that, real problem. You literally cannot read everybody's book,
Right.
listen to everybody's podcast, take everybody's course, take everybody's class, et cetera, et cetera. It's impossible to do in a lifetime. You can't. So my attempt is to curate people that have really good stories of thriving and surviving and making it to the top of their category,
Right.
whom I call an elite entrepreneur.
Right.
That's not a person trying to rule the world. That's just a person who made it to the top of their category, an elite entrepreneur. And I will take them and basically curate that to the audience. So in essence, you now learn you learn whom I think is like, Tony's picks in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
Good. And it helps you in whatever you're doing, even if they're not talking about what you're doing. You could be
Still learn from.
you could be a mechanic, you could be an accountant, you could be working in a grocery store, but learning what these people say and how they've beat adversity is just amazing. It's just amazing.
I like the formal spelling of your name is Tony, and then it's capital D, and the apostrophe, and then a capital U, and then RSO.
Yes.
Urso.
Now, 10 years ago, I took off that apostrophe, though you'll see it sometimes here and there, because search engines kept getting it confused.
Oh.
They couldn't find Tony D'Urso. They just couldn't find it. So I took off that apostrophe, and I really love it because it's branding, because people go, hey, there's a typo in your name. So, because the apostrophe's gone.
I like it. And how do people listen to your podcast? Let's get that out there. Everybody grab your pens in now, because we'll come back to this. But
I'm using my hands right now.
That's okay. You can use
you'll just throw out any of them that you want to.
Well, I have a couple 100,000 people that listen to every episode. It's a weekly episode. I'm getting about 200,000 listens per week. Wow. And now in 10 years, I'm well over 50 million.
Dang.
Wow. 50.
50 million.
Million. Oh, my God. And those 10 years, how many people, do you have any idea how many people you've interviewed?
I don't count. I haven't counted, but it's 10 years, one a week, sometimes two. Sometimes it's a husband, wife, or I've experimented with something called an insider's brief, where I give someone up and coming 10 or 15 minutes. So generally 5, 6, maybe 700-ish.
Wow. Yeah.
Almost all of them, millionaires, billionaires. You wouldn't know that these people are the top of their category.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, so your podcasts are on any and every, I don't even know what that's called, platform.
It's called the platform. Yeah, I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, places like that.
You got to.
I used to be on Voice America for I want to say like 6 years, 7 years, where after a year or two I was the number one show.
Wow.
I was the number one show for at least 5 years running on Voice America.
Do you ever see him during the... See, it sounds like he's really busy, right?
He's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. Does he has like his own little empire in his office there he goes into?
His man cave.
Man's cave, exactly.
He's got a man cave.
But I will tell you, I'm very structured in a way, and I will take the time off to just hang out and relax.
Yeah,
right. I do, and I take one day a week off every Sunday. I don't work. I mean, I'm very structured in that, and I just cram everything else in the time that I have available.
Right on.
Very cool. Now, tell us about elite entrepreneurs.
Yeah, we want to hear more about the elite entrepreneurs. I mean,
sure.
Yeah.
I've interviewed people who are at the top. For example, Wesley Snipes. You've heard of him. Kevin Harrington, the who's called the inventor of the infomercial, the original Shark Tank. I've interviewed the two gentlemen who have sold more books than even the Bible.
And that
is sold, though I'm not certain about the sold figure, so don't hold me to it. Over 500 million books. And that is Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen.
I'm looking at their names.
Chicken Soup of the Soul. And as a matter of fact, I happen to be a guest author on their 30th anniversary edition.
Wow. We do have a copy of it right here in front. It's signed by...
On the back, you'll see my name. There's a couple authors there. You'll see my name in the back.
Thank you for that gift. And these are some of the
with an apostrophe.
Yeah, well, when you're doing it formal, you put the apostrophe.
Yeah. Siri's finally figured it out, I think.
I hope so.
Very cool.
And people,
Chicken Soup of the Soul.
And people like the world's foremost authority. I mean, the number one world authority on AI. I've interviewed him.
Wow. Who's that? Do you remember his name? Okay.
I have to think about it for a second.
You've got a lot of people.
But I have to scan 700. But
yeah, you got to go over that.
But it's just people who are at the top and
famous people that are.
Yeah, and it takes about 1 to 2 years to get on my show.
Yeah.
Any movie stars other than your wife?
Several.
Yeah? Okay.
Several movie stars. I've interviewed a lot of people.
Wesley Snipes, I think you remember telling me.
Wesley Snipes, I've interviewed.
Wow.
He's my top movie star, and I've interviewed just different people. I'm just trying to remember their names, so I'm not. I should be better with names, I think.
Yeah, that's okay.
The martial arts guy.
Who?
The martial arts guy.
Who? Martial arts?
The Perfect Weapon. The Perfect Weapon. He has a
Jackie
keto,
Chan. No.
He has a keto studio, a keto community centers, dojos all over the world.
Yeah.
If you look at the movie, The Perfect Weapon, it was rated. One website calls it the #1 martial arts movie.
Perfect Weapon.
The Perfect Weapon. It's
go
above. It's he's there neck and neck with Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris. His movies.
Yeah, okay. Talking about that, we will get back to it, but time flies when we're having fun. It's already that mid-break time here on the Doc and Jacques live radio show, proudly broadcasting from the KCIW 100.7 FM studio here in lovely coastal Brookings, Oregon. The list of major sponsors for this community radio station are Advanced Airlines, flying in and out of nearby Crescent City to Oakland and LA 7 days a week. Marie and Brett Curtis are next-door neighbors here at Remax Coast and Country Realty. Dr. John Kirks, I met with him today. He came down to the KFUG signing off. Yeah, retirement. Owner of Porta Pints Craft Brewery, now in 2 locations in Crescent City. Our own Michelle Bupert. Hello, Michelle, with our vibrant local Curry County Chamber of Commerce. And then everybody's friend, Jim Doc Bellardi and his Crescent Land Title and Escrow Company. We got a big thanks to Dan and Phyllis Schmidt for their constant friendly support, and the reimagined Crescent City Harbor Art Gallery in Crescent City, anchored in the harbor right next to the boats. Our region's only bowling center, Tsunami Lanes, right down on 101 in Midtown Crescent City. Nick and Lisa Rail, big people there, bringing to our region a $50 million event center to be known as the PPA, or Partnership for the Performing Arts, located in northern Crescent City. We've got the medical team of Dr. J, Dr. Palak, and Roshita Patel at Chitka Medical and Aesthetics in Harbor. And lastly, my dear co-host, Dr. Gigi Reed, MD, and yours true, Jacques Kepner. On behalf of KCIW, thanks to all of you that you do. All right, we're back in the studio with Sadie and Tony D'Urso. They are hanging out, and we're getting lots of backstory information about them.
I think I want to. So we talked about the original chicken soup of the soul. And
The Perfect Weapon. He's showing us a picture. There's the perfect weapon. Okay, we're going to watch that movie. Is it on Amazon? That's the only way we can watch it. We have a TV the size of a watch, but that's okay.
Let's go to your book writing
Oh, yes. Right. The
career,
book
which is, on the side, apparently. You are the...
I'm strumming through the pages. Hear that?
Yeah, that's the chicken.
Can everybody hear that?
So,
That's a great
and
big
he
book.
actually brought books
Oh, yeah.
that are called Bitten from the Imen of Atlantis series.
Right,
And
of
you
which-
brought books for people.
For
here
everybody.
in-
I brought books for all the studio people here.
Right.
Signed
Very
autograph
nice.
books of Bitten.
Then
The Imen of Atlantis is a series of many. I've been trying to get more information out of him. He will talk.
Jacques is trying to
We're
find
fast
out.
forwarding. We're way up on third edition of there's Ruthless, then there is
Bitten, Ruthless.
Bitten, Ruthless, and then Pursuit, which we're into now, so we won't talk about those. But to the general person out there, it was Bitten, Volume 1 of this 9-part series that got us bitten. We fell for it hard. Great writing, great way. I just want to ask one question. Who is SKR? It's by SKR and Tony.
SKR is my co-author.
Oh.
I have a co-author to help write the book. You see, I write nonfiction. I write serious books. How to get sales, how to market, how to make your vision into a reality and stuff like that. And many years ago, my co-author came to me with this really great idea, which I've talked about on the first episode 6 months ago, but just kind of fast forward. Well, we talked about it, and I thought, I will help develop this character, and we spent so much more time on this before explaining it, but we worked out to write a story, and I thought I will be involved because even though I'm known for nonfiction, because it's fiction, it's okay as long as there's a co-author. I'm not like breaking, how would you think of someone who was very serious about something and then wrote a fiction book? It doesn't get done. But with a co-author, I thought this is a good way to segue. So I lent my name to this. I helped put it together. And with my co-author, SKR, we put together a series called The Imen of Atlantis. Volume 1 is called Bitten, B-I-T-T-E-N.
Well, it bit us. We are addicted.
And just so you know, it's bitten because And I can tell the audience more of the story, but once the powers that be find out about the Imen and who they are and what they can do, their greed scale, their greed level just catapults or skyrockets. They want the Imen because it's the greed for power and the lust for gold, because the Imen are very powerful beings. Do you want me to tell a little bit about?
Again, this is just it's kind of Tolkien, in the vein of Tolkien, sort of, but you develop your characters,
and it's really
exceptionally well.
The writing is it's flowing. You read it very easily, and there's such cute little ideas in there that I feel very cute. Wanting to turn somebody into a pebble. It's the cutest idea. Oh my gosh. So
the Callio, I always pronounce it
Caillou.
See, French here.
So, and the other thing is, I think it's not only for adults, it's also for children, because it is pretty clear good and evil. And I think children probably have an easier time with everything because they know who the bad guy is.
That's a great compliment. That's a good point you said.
It's very clean.
It's clean. Yeah, it's not just adult reading. It could be teenager, even kids would get a kick out of it because there's a straight up.
There's no swearing in the book.
No swearing at all.
And it's very clear what bad is and what good is without ever saying those words.
Right.
And yes, and the Imen, just a really fast encapsulation here is what I'm going to put in your mind something that's kind of like a concept, and that's a samurai warrior. Just picture samurai warriors.
Okay.
In the center of the earth, the 4-island landmass. Oh, let me explain that. Hundreds of years ago, in the center of the earth was a 4-island continent. And
Inner Earth.
Huh?
Inner Earth.
Center, Middle Earth.
Middle Earth. Okay,
Middle Earth.
There we go.
And back in the 60s, when I started watching movies, especially spy movies, Our Man Flynn and James Bond, the center of the earth was all solid ice. And in my history books was all solid ice. And today, it's just all water. If you look on maps, that center of the earth is gone. And I thought, how interesting. This is a lost continent. And I thought, this is Atlantis. No one's going to argue because it's just water on the maps now. So we reclaimed that territory from Mercator and others, and there's hundreds of maps with it, hundreds. So that became Atlantis. So my samurai warriors went around that 4-island continent. I'm being kind of crude, so please don't hurt me too bad on the story. They fought with all other races in that whole entire 4-island continent until no one was left but them. And then they started infighting, and they started because they had no one else to fight. Well, at that point, seeing his creation diminish and eventually seeing that his creation will totally go away, God, the creator, sent a messenger down to give them an ultimatum. Put down your weapons, and I will give you abilities and the ability to heal. Or if you continue as you are, you will wipe yourselves out. Well, guess what happened? Those that didn't listen to the divine messenger wiped themselves out, and they're gone. Those that did and laid down their weapons went underground and became the mythical, magical, powerful Imen. Which, with many abilities, which you're going to get a taste of some of their abilities in Book 1, Bitten, which is stuff, Superman, Darth Vader, they have nothing on an Imen. Just from the first
visibility,
book. Just from the first
stopping time.
Just from the first book,
unique stuff.
Completely. And so then, once the rulers, as I mentioned back to the original part of talking about it, once the rulers find out that the Imen exists, which we can tell how they found out, then they're chasing the Imen. They want the Imen. And that's what this is all about right now.
Sadie, what's it like writing some of these things and hearing your story and whatnot about your interpretation of what he's been saying about, are you on the adventure with this? Are you?
I read and I
like
I love the adventure.
Okay. It is a great adventure at that. So Bitten was the first one, right?
Yes.
And then it was followed by
Volume 2, Ruthless.
Volume 2.
It's called Volume 2.
Ruthless, and now the
Ruthless,
latest
which is now you see the emergence of true ruthlessness come out from several countries that know the Imen are there and have the conquest of other countries and their gold reserves and their gold and mining their gold these countries have that in mind, and they want to use the Imen for that. And you see the ruthlessness come up, and I have to say, when you're finished with that book, you still haven't seen true ruthlessness yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Now
we'll get there.
it's posted as one of the top sellers. You've got a great following. Where can you buy the book?
You can buy it on Amazon and truly wherever books are sold. You can go to Barnes and Noble. You can go anywhere, any bookstore, and if they don't have it, maybe it's on order. But if they go into their computer, they'll see that it's there, and they can pick it up for you.
So there's also somebody read the books, right? It's also Audible or whatever.
It's not on Audible yet.
No, not on Audible, but you can listen to it.
No, not yet. Though we have to figure that part out.
Sorry, never mind.
I've been looking at technology to do that, and
She loves the audio.
It's a lot of work.
I read to her every night. And this is why some nights I get up to 10 pages before she falls asleep, and it's like, oh, it's exciting. And sometimes she knocks me and says, read more. And then
I know sometimes he stops and then he looks over seeing, hold on, I'm still here.
Well, there's a fork in the road on this, Gigi, and that is, do I go and produce the hardback, which is a lot of work, or do I go put all my efforts into the Audible?
Yeah.
Audio,
so
that's where it's at.
I think people will probably. So I have the 9-book Expanse series, which is it's called The Expanse. It's fun to have it. I mean, really, once you have read it, you don't go back to read it again. Probably.
I like this book better. I like their series. I tried reading your Expanse, and it was.
Yeah, you thought it was. So this is. I mean, people would probably. I mean, especially since it comes in a 9-volume. So
you're on 3 now.
Volumes,
you cannot get any more than the first 3. The first 3 books.
Right now, there's 3 books out, which is Volume 1 is Bitten, Volume 2 is Ruthless, Volume 3 is Pursuit, which just came out on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And just thinking about it, leaves me breathless because it's so much happens, and I think you're out of breath. I mean, I was out of breath going through it. I don't know how you are. So much happens and so much chasing, and you don't know who really gets knocked off. We've terminated or dispatched 3 people so far in the first 3 books, right. And you'll never guess who.
Not Bomo. And we're hoping Bomo goes. You'll get it. You'll get it if you get the books. You'll understand what I'm saying.
Bomo is the famous ogre of the book.
He's a bumbling Bomo. So she gets now when she gets mad at me, hey Bomo, like duh. Okay, what do you like writing better? You've written fiction and now nonfiction and now fiction. Do you have a preference? You're really into this, obviously, right?
Well, my preference, well, it's hard to say because I like both. But right now, I'm planning to come out with the book on the vision map and how to turn your dream into reality, how to have this idea and turn it into something real, intangible, which is what I did when I started podcasting. And there's 8 steps to it. And I'm thinking this might be a good year to release that. So once I get ahead on the Imen books, I'll probably turn back to
so these are 2 separate things altogether. The vision map is what when you're coaching people and you're telling, as you've told Dr. Gigi and I, we've come to you. We understand how what you can bring to us and your expertise of podcasting. We wanted to do a podcasting venture into that. And you've told us about the vision map. Fascinating thing. This is your own baby, right? Your own invention that just says this works if you apply it and if you adhere to it. And you get very specific about your vision map. So I, applaud you. If you want to go down that, we'd love to get a hold of that book.
So the other thing that you have written is the CEO Secrets or something like that?
I've written a couple of books as a co-author, The Disciplined CEO and so forth. They've done well.
So super different from everything again, right? So it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I have a community, And if you sign up for my newsletter, you can go into the community resources. And someday I'm going to put up my chapter of the Discipline CEO. It's a tab called Community Resources. For the audience here, if you go to TonyDurso.com, TonyDurso.substack.com, and you'll get into the newsletter, and you'll get every week, just about every week, information on the vision map. You'll get all the pieces.
Wow.
But you'll also, in the community center, you'll get things like the 3 critical mistakes that you never want to make in social media. You just don't want to make the 3. You don't want to make them. You get that. You get the vision map, draft summary, and you're going to get the CEO, Discipline CEO, and some other things in there.
Super busy man as you are figuring this out.
So now you have another new endeavor. You are part of the KCIW family.
Yes.
Being so prolific on podcasts, tell us your thought of becoming part of community radio or radio overall.
I absolutely love it. I mentioned a little bit earlier that I can wear a nice, comfortable shirt while I do it.
Right.
But I like the fact that it's more grassroots, down to earth, talking to real people. Not that I don't talk to real people on podcasting, but it's just a different flow. When you get into podcasting, you got to have sponsors, and you've got a production, and people have to pay for it, and you've got all that. But when it's community radio, it's just from me, from my heart, from my values to you, and I can just talk about that. And that's what I try very hard to put out in my community radio. So my goal, my focus is I want to join you guys and get my show, my community show, syndicated out there. And just for the audience, it's the my Elite Entrepreneur interview, but instead of commercials, I'm teaching you the vision map in the show, and I'm on at 5:00 today. I'm on another
after this.
13 minutes. I'll either be teaching the vision map during some of the commercial breaks, or I'm actually reading the Imen book. I actually read it. So if you go back to and there's only a couple shows out there, so if you go to them, you'll actually get really deep into the Imen story, which is I love it. I'm getting good response on it.
Sadie, how long have the two of you lived in this area? Because you're developing a house right now in the Crescent City area or north of it, and how long you lived here?
Since October of 21.
Okay, so you've had a 4.5-year run, right? Am I right?
3.5?
3.5? What do you mean 21?
What's 25 at the beginning? 21 and 3.
Oh, okay. Darn it.
Math not strong suit.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know she talked down to me like that. Part of every.
Stated the obvious.
Well, okay. I got my degree in English. Okay, Mrs. Overachiever that has 16 different degrees and doctorates and PhDs and whatever she goes. So you've been here since 21. How do you like it? Do you still like it?
I love it. This is a slice of paradise for me.
Right. Yes, it is.
Have you ever lived near the ocean before? Did you?
No, as a kid, we used to go 2 or 3 times a year and stay at the beach.
Right.
But that was in Africa.
In Africa, that's
in
right.
Kenya.
In Kenya, yeah. What a
So
trip.
that was very nice.
That's where you grew up in Kenya.
I grew up there and in England.
And in England. Huh?
Yeah.
Super talent. I'm telling you, unique story, right? Well,
Now as a tag along with my parents.
and we met
That's
Mom.
okay.
We met Mom, super, super sweet lady. I love your mom. She's
Yeah.
really good. What's up for next with Tony here? Tony, I mean, okay, KCIW is your latest endeavor. You've got your fourth
it's my
show
love.
up.
It's my love right now. I really want to go out there in community and really get it out. It's. I don't think it's as censored as the other arenas are, and I just like that down to earth. So I really want to do more of this and just get my show out there.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, KCIW has just got a new vibe to it. It's got a new beat. Michael Gorse has been in here. He's doing all sorts of neat stuff. He's bringing in big equipment. We've got a great studio that's already enhanced upon what it has been. So, man, we're so glad to welcome you into the KCIW.
Now, Tony, what do you do for fun? Because
What do you
either
do, Sadie?
you must really have this as a fun appearance because you don't do anything else. You're so busy. What do you do if you have anything else?
I love to travel the world.
Oh.
That's what I do in my spare time. I travel. I have the most, you would never think, eclectic interests and love. What I love following, I follow a lady who rides a motorcycle around the world. I am not a motorcycle person. I don't have one, but I just love that feeling. And I follow a person who speaks Spanish, and he travels a motorcycle around the world. And it's just, I love touring the world. I like watching cooking shows with my wife. I love watching people garden, just anything to relax. It's just, this is what I do for fun.
Because you do a lot of different things. How do people sign up for your newsletter? So we already talked about that a little bit, right? They could just go to Tony Durso.
If you go to TonyDurso.com, right there on the homepage is the newsletter sign up. And I would really appreciate that because I give out a lot of information, and this is how I can share with the world,
Yeah.
Now, not everybody wants to be a multimillionaire or has the ambitions to do all this stuff. How
don't?
Oh, okay. Who do you actually speak to that they can take advantage of that knowledge? From what you get from the multimillionaires and big.
Since you mentioned it, I am on record. I've said this many times. I am not interested in being a billionaire. I'm not trying to be a billionaire. I don't want to be a billionaire. Right. And you want to know why?
Why?
I can't eat that much food.
Yeah, really.
What are you going to do with all that money? It's just like an overload. No, I love to help those that I can help. It's help with knowledge, help with whatever. And I have several projects that we have never discussed where I help people who are impoverished or I'm trying to think of the right politically correct words. Just they need some help.
Right.
Right. And I would be thinking that even if you are a multimillionaire, even if you are a super whatever person, everybody can take advantage of that knowledge and use it in your own lives, even if you're not going to be what they are. But you can still use most strategies you can apply to just about anything, right? So.
Right on. Yeah. We've heard a little bit about what you would say to do, and I would just say it's extremely noble. We bow low before you. We think it's fantastic what you're doing and your commitment to bettering the world. And then that's only done part of the time. The rest of the time, you're doing all the other things you do. And then on top of that, traveling. Where's your favorite place to travel to, Sadie? Do you have any favorite places?
Oh, we travel from the couch.
Oh, travel from the couch too? Okay. The couch to the office, into the kitchen. Yeah, okay. Oh, my goodness gracious.
So they have YouTube. We do YouTube traveling.
Oh,
there we go.
We've traveled the world. We've been there, done that.
Yeah, but you really
we
like
hit
France.
all the places that we've ever wanted to hit.
Yeah, you really like you told us you have dinner with us how much you enjoyed France, and you don't find them at all the pushy unless you're wearing the badge of an ugly American.
Yeah,
they're totally cool.
If you're American and you go to France, don't tell them that you're American. And they will love you. Speak in perfect French with the perfect accent.
Which
and you're
learned,
one of them,
right?
and it's perfect.
You went out and learned it on the pimps or message.
I did the typing thing, right?
That's
I went out and learned it, and no matter how fast the waitress would come and say, "Qu'est-ce que tu veux?" and she's probably said it five times faster than that, which means, "What do you want?" Like rushed. I would always say, something like, I have to think about it for a second, but, bonjour. You have to say bonjour, which is, you have to say good day up until about 4 o'clock. After that, it's bonsoir. And I don't care if there's a fire going on. You say that in Paris, and they just literally, I've seen them shock, like I shocked them, and literally shock, and just a whole new demeanor would come.
Wow, how cool.
When I lived in England, I am born and raised in Germany, and then I came to the States. So they thought I was American because I have an American accent, right? And so they always said, "Oh, where are you from?" And in the beginning, I said Germany, and the total demeanor changed. It's like, oh, Okay. So at the end, I said, I'm American, which I am, but, I still, when you're born somewhere. And so then they're all, yay, you're so cool because of the American accent.
We have enjoyed this conversation. We're out of time, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to have one little section here, some jokes and stuff, but we want to really thank Tony D'Urso for coming on the studio and KCIW and talking about your life and some of your backstory and what you're doing. Sadie, I'm glad you.
Thank you.
Your first time on live radio. See, it wasn't so hard, right? After all, right?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, good.
You guys made it very, very
thank
easy.
you. We appreciate it. It's very personal of you. All right. So thank you again. One last moment. TonyDurso.com. Tell us your last shot, Tony, on how do people reach you?
The simplest way is TonyDurso.com. You get all my podcasts all the way back to those first years when it was called Revenue Chat Radio. You get 10 years. It's all there. You'll get access to my books. You'll find out my community, everything.
Cool.
You even see some of my baby pictures.
All right. Are you sure I want to see that? Okay. All right. Thanks again to Tony D'Urso and Sadie.
D'Urso.
Really, thank you for coming in. All right, Doctor, what do we got? Fun time corner. Okay, Doc, do you know why nurses carry pens at work?
Red pens?
Yes.
No.
In case they have to draw blood. Okay.
I like that joke.
I tried to sue the airline for losing my luggage.
And?
I lost my case.
Oh, sad.
What about you?
Well, we're certainly dust. I have quotes about Ash Wednesday. We are certainly dust, but we are valuable dust.
Wow, I like that one.
Right?
Yeah, that is a good one. Okay, give us another quote.
Ash Wednesday calls us to let go of our pride and seek humility.
Nice. I asked Siri, why am I so unpopular? And she turned on the self-facing camera. Darn it. Indecisiveness is my new word, favorite word.
Yeah?
Well, actually, maybe not. Doctor, I told my psychiatrist that I've been hearing voices.
Yeah?
He told me that I don't have a psychiatrist. I don't have one. Hey, give us some more quotes.
Okay, I also have podcast quotes.
Okay,
podcasts are the perfect way. So I almost interjected that when you were talking about it. Podcasts are the perfect way to turn your downtime into learning time. It is really cool, right?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Podcasts are like radio on demand, tailored to your interests and schedule. Pretty cool.
That's very good.
Right?
Did you hear about the old man that fell into a well?
No.
He obviously didn't see that well. Well, that was bad. Hey, sadly, the man who invented autocorrect passed away this morning. May he restaurant in peace. Please laugh all you wish for our live radio here. Okay, give us another couple.
Listening to podcasts is like having a conversation with someone who inspires you.
Right on.
Right?
True.
Podcasts have the power to entertain, educate, and inspire listeners around the world, and not just locally.
That's very true.
Right?
Hey, Tony, did you hear about the man did you hear about the new book on constipation? Well, it hasn't come out yet. It's okay. So bad. Hey, I don't like camping. In fact, I don't like anything in tents.
Yeah?
Like
not?
TENTS. Speaking of tents, did you hear about the circus fire?
What?
It was in tents. Okay.
It was intense, you mean?
And I always fail at the end.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I have a good quote. I do podcasts for the same reasons I do stand-up comedy. I love it, and I don't care if anybody else gets it.
How cool is that? I came down this morning from upstairs, and Dr. Gigi had written a long, somber, sad note. It was on the refrigerator door, and it said, Jacques, it's just not working anymore. I opened up the refrigerator, works fine. All right, where are we? We're about out. Oh,
Yes, okay. We are at the end of our show with Tony D'Urso and Sadie.
Sadie, all right.
And stay tuned for the Tony D'Urso show.
Yeah, that's right. In just a few minutes, stay
You have
on.
been listening to Doc and Jacques on KCIW LP 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon, and we hope you have enjoyed the show as much as we have.
Where am I, Doc? I don't have.
Jack here also wants to thank Tom Bozak.
Oh, yes, I do want to thank Tom. I'm on motion sickness. I don't even know where I'm. Oh, exit. Here we are. Okay. Thanks, Tom,
for the Tony Dorser show right after our program.
We are there. Thanks again, Tony and Sadie, for coming in.
Thank
It's been a lot of fun live radio here on KCW. Next week, it's Jordan Branch, singer, local singer, and that is phenomenal. She'll be on there with Doc Jacques.
All right.
Peace and love.
Goodbye.